What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Crew 2. And well, as y'all know, it is Wednesday, which means the new summit is now live, guys. And for this week, we have something special. The So French Summit is once again back in the game with the Bugatti Divo Magma Edition. I would actually say this is probably one of the most anticipated cars in the entire game. So if you didn't have a chance to get the Bugatti Divo Magma Edition back in the day, I would definitely recommend jumping on and trying to get this thing. Honestly, guys, it's probably one of the coolest Bugattis in the entire game, which is probably going to say a lot considering there's like 75 of them. But moving over to the next summit, Wheels Clash is going to have a very interesting and or bugged out platinum reward. The live reward sniffer boosted for the touring cars with a nitrochemist set, so I would like to say that's probably going to be bugged out. But in gold we have the BMW Z4. Once again, you guys will also get the money back for the vehicles if you do own them. And then jumping right into this summit here, guys, you're going to notice one thing. There's going to be 3 different US Speed Tour events, which, by the way, are all going to be on motorcycles as well. So this is going to be a pretty interesting one. Cannot wait to actually do that. But moving over to the next summit, 70s Racing Glory is going to have a beautiful Porsche 935 2.0. I cannot wait to test that thing out as well, going against the other touring cars in the game. It's also going to be a Porsche as well, so I'm basically expecting this car to be good. And then moving over to the next summit's going to be interesting, guys, the agency. Now, I'm sure looking upon this at first glance, you're probably going to notice a tire in platinum, which does look pretty cool. Then we're going to have a legendary half set boosted for the monster trucks, which is a nitrochemist set. I would definitely recommend going after that, guys. But the biggest thing for me, though, is going to be that cover image with one vehicle I have not seen in such a long time. The KTM 450 EXC Nighthawk Edition. It does actually look like it's going to be that exact same bike. So this is honestly going to be huge because even to this day, the Nighthawk Edition was actually one of my favorite motocross bikes in the Crew 2, and to many guys I would even go as far as saying it's probably going to be one of the best. And now moving over to the So French Summit here, I do think this one's going to be on the interesting side, at least when it comes to the events, but jumping right into this, guys, here, the Slalom, I once again use the Vector V40R. I would say you can easily run the 1414 Demon if you would like to. I just find the handling of the Vector to be so much better and or a lot easier to actually maneuver, so I would definitely recommend trying this bow out if you guys have not. But moving over to the next skill, though, is going to be a low altitude. I would say one of the best things about these guys, how easy they actually are. It's kind of interesting because I would actually go as far as saying the low altitudes are the easiest skills to do. And if you guys do run the Zivko Edge, you will luckily beat this one with ease. I basically just followed the road and it was basically done from there. I would say you could probably turn around on this one and or basically go the other direction as well, and you will basically be good to go regardless. But moving over to the next skill is actually going to be an escape, and for this one I actually decided to run the Stingray. You can also use a hypercar like my friends did as well and still get a very high score. I personally found the Stingray to be a lot easier because once you guys get on the highway, you can basically go as fast as you possibly can the entire time. The biggest challenge on this, though, if you guys do choose to use a drag car, is by far going to be the pedestrians. The main reason for this, though, is the fact that if the AI drivers actually spawn in front of you doing 350 miles per hour, you are most likely going to be doomed with pretty much no actual effect to beat that. But moving over to the first event here, guys, is going to be a hypercar race where you get to drive the lovely Super Sport 300 Plus. I can definitely see why this is by far going to be one of the best hypercars in the game. Do keep in mind, guys, by the way, I have noticed one thing about this summit. That is going to be the scoring on this, so you don't have to be insanely high scoring and or super fast, because the scoring does seem to be on the generous side, which I do think is going to be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing depending on the way that you guys might look at this, because it can make the summit a lot more intense. But moving over to the next event, guys, is going to be a street race with the Renault. I actually do remember doing this race a long time ago. It's definitely not the funnest race to do, but honestly it's really not going to be all that bad because the Renault is insanely good. I actually got 2 minutes and 20 seconds on this, running it like my second try, so it's not going to be an insanely hard event to do. But I do think this actual track, though, Depending on the approach you guys do take on the turn, I do think is going to be a pretty big factor. I notice if you're going way too fast, you can sometimes completely destroy the way the turn is, and you're most likely going to lose a ton of time on that one. But moving over to the next event, though, is going to be a rallycross race where you guys get to pick a vehicle of your choice. So for me, I did actually pick the Ford Fiesta here, which don't get me wrong, is definitely not going to be the best option on this event, guys. Like, I would actually recommend not using the Ford Fiesta on this because I wouldn't say it's the best, but I do like messing around in these summits with some oddball vehicles that you really would never see. The best cars you guys can use on these rallycross events, though, is by far going to be the Cadillac Escalade and or the Mitsubishi WRC05. I would easily say are the best options, and I'm sure you guys will probably notice these vehicles taking over the leaderboards forever. But moving down to the next event, though, is going to be a rally raid event. I actually decided to run the Ram Rebel 1500 because for some odd reason, I do like picking these oddball vehicles that seem to do insanely good. Do keep in mind, guys, once again, though, the scoring on these events are definitely going to be generous, so I'm really going to like that, and I'm sure a lot of players are probably going to like this as well. But for this, though, the TRX is again probably not going to be the best vehicle for this, but to be honest, though, I actually would say the TRX is probably going to be insanely underrated. I found this thing to be insanely stable in basically every way, plus it's also going to be pretty dang fast. And then moving over to the next event, guys, is going to be a hypercar race where you actually get to test out the Bugatti Magma Edition. So do keep in mind the scoring on this event is going to be kind of odd. So if you do score kind of low, it's not going to be you. It's most likely going to be the event itself. Do keep in mind as well, this Bugatti is going to be base level. It is also not going to have pro settings on it either, so do be prepared to slide all over the place. This race is obviously going to be in the snow as well, and my goodness, the Bugatti does not grip that great. There's also going to be a few cuts in this event that I honestly did not take as well, but I normally try to avoid those in many of these events. But overall, though, the Bugatti Magma Edition is absolutely insane. And then moving over to the final event in the summit, you guys will have to use a rally raid vehicle in one of the monster truck events. I would actually say this is probably one of the easiest events in this entire summit. I also decided to run the Ram 1500 Rebel once again. Honestly, guys, I would say this truck is probably going to be on the underrated side. The handling and stability on this thing is honestly going to be insanely good. Of course, the overall top speed's not going to be the fastest thing out there like the Raptor. Even with the Ram TRX having a lower top speed compared to something like the Raptor, I still would find this truck to be on the underrated side with its overall performance. I really do think a lot of players would actually love the way this truck feels when you're racing it. I highly recommend trying this thing out, guys, not only on the Rally Raid event in the Monster Truck race, but also in the other Rally Raid event, which is the Great Sand Dunes as well. I really do feel like a lot of people are going to love this truck, but nonetheless, though, if you guys have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below. Let's jump right into this summit.